I want to give you guys some raw advice for young men who might be in their 20s listening to this because I can tell you for a fact if you listen to these points and you do this, you are going to be so much farther ahead of all your peers, all the people your age, a lot of people that are even older than you, right? So, what I'm going to talk about in this video are some ways that you guys can really get ahead of people, really just blow their roof off in terms of success as opposed to them, and how you can take baby steps every single day to move towards your goals and to cover a lot of ground that your people that you're competing with just aren't doing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this, guys. I hope you guys get a lot of value out of this video. This is something that, again, I wish I would have heard when I was younger, and it's something that, is worth reminding everybody, right? So, very first point, you guys need to be working as hard as you possibly can every single day. I know this is probably like the most cliche thing in the world, but it's true. When you're young and you're in your 20s, you need to be working as much as you possibly can. I've worked multiple jobs. At the time of making this video, I have four jobs, right? Multiple online jobs, multiple, gig work things that I do on the side to help people out with marketing, sales. I'm very busy. I have almost no time to do anything, to mess around, to dick around, to do all this different kind of stuff, right? That's just the reality. You guys need to be doing that exact same thing because I promise you, when you're busier, you're going to learn how to manage your time more effectively. You're going to make more money, and you're going to be able to ultimately understand how hard you actually can work, right? So if you're 23 years old, 24 years old, 20 years old, whatever it might be, 18, and you're working two or three jobs, dude, I promise you, you're going to be extremely successful if you just stay focused and keep putting in the work every single day. It's going to suck. I mean, that's just the reality. It's not fun working from start to finish every single day. But I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, if you're working as hard as you possibly can, you're going to get a sense of fulfillment. You're going to have a sense of confidence. You're going to be making more money. You're going to meet more people that can unlock different opportunities for you. And it's going to be a tremendous advantage that you have in your life as opposed to the other people who are just dicking around, not doing anything. And I'm not saying that you can't have some downtime. Of course you can. Of course, I have a little bit of downtime, but that downtime is, maybe an hour or two, maybe every day. And that's usually spent going to the gym. Every once in a while, I'll play Call of Duty like I'm doing right now. That's just the reality. To be successful, you have to work hard. To be successful and earn a lot of money, you have to be spending most of your time throughout every single day, even on the weekends, doing money generating activity. That's just the reality, right? I don't care what Instagram says. I don't care what the 4-hour work week says. When you're young and you're trying to make shit happen, you have to work your ass off every single day, period. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, you have to live as cheap as you possibly can every single day, every single week, every single month. You shouldn't be out there spending all this money on clothes. You shouldn't be out there living in a big fancy apartment. You shouldn't be doing all this different kind of stuff that your peers are doing because at the end of the day, they're probably broke and you have big goals, or at least you say you do. Or I would imagine that you do if you're listening to this video or watching this channel because people who have big goals, they live cheap. People who have big goals, they don't have time to be out here shopping and buying all this different garbage or, spending all this money on a big fancy apartment. They don't do that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but some of the most successful people in the world, they're very minimalist, right? They don't have a whole lot of stuff. They don't have all these big expensive things they have to pay for. Like I think like Warren Buffett still lives in the same, like we've heard that story of like him living in the exact same house he had when he was like 20 something years old or whatever. Bill Gates dresses like he's broke. Mark Zuckerberg walks around just wearing regular stuff. Like again, these are the complete opposite side of the spectrum as, regular people like me and you, but the point stands. You don't want to be someone who's having to pay for all this garbage, especially when you're trying to come up and make money and be successful in life. You do not have the time, you do not have the money, you don't have any of that to waste. You have to allocate every single second you have to working as hard as you possibly can, developing skills, and every single dollar that you make from that has to be saved and eventually be invested. That's just the reality. You have to live as cheap as you possibly can. I don't care if you have to live with your parents. I don't care if you have to move into a shitty apartment. I don't care if you have to sell your car, whatever you have to do, downsize your life and don't feel bad doing it because I promise you, most people are probably not paying attention anyway. If you're in your 20s and you're under the age of 30, I don't care what anybody says. They don't give a shit if you're living with your parents. Your buddies are going to make fun of you. Of course they will. But at the end of the day, who cares? They're not going to be the one paying for your mortgage or paying for your rent if you go get an expensive apartment. So do whatever it is you have to do to cut your expenses significantly. You have to do that. You want to be living on as little money as possible, right? That's going to give you more flexibility to be able to invest, to be able to save money, to be able to invest into your future. And on top of that, it's going to give you less financial stress of having to pay for all this shit that you have and having to go to work every single day. You don't want to have to go to work. You want to enjoy working, right? And when you don't have to do something, you're naturally going to enjoy it and you're going to have less stress, right? So you need to work as hard as you possibly can. That's point number one. You need to live as cheap as you possibly can. That's point number two. Point number three, you need to be investing into your financial education every single day. You need to be learning, watching books, reading books, watching videos, going to events, doing all this different kind of stuff that you hear about. There's no secret to this stuff, guys. You have to learn how money works, learn how, you know, how to earn money, how to invest money, how to save money on taxes, how to pay as little taxes as possible, right? You have to do these things. If you don't, and you just work as hard as you possibly can, but you're not complementing that with, you know, a base of knowledge and pattern of learning every single day to be able to improve your skill set in all areas of your life, you're just going to be banging your head against the wall every single day and doing, ineffective actions. And that's not what you want, right? You guys need to be learning every single day, watching podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading books, paying mentors. I'm not saying to go out there and pay somebody $3,000 a month. But, if you could pay somebody, $50 an hour or, $100 an hour to ask them some sophisticated questions on whatever it is you're trying to do, go out there and find real experts who are doing that and pay them a little bit of money. That's absolutely worth doing. You should not be shy when it comes to learning, especially if you're under 30 years old, and especially if you're under 25 or 20 years old. You need to become a sponge. Learn as much as you possibly can. Watch videos, learn from mentors, follow people who are actually doing things in life and becoming successful. And when you're doing that, make sure to vet out the people that you're listening to and make sure that they're actually successful because we have this infestation of people online who are giving out all this bad advice. And you come to find out they don't even have the credentials that they're talking about. They haven't built that business that they say they have. They haven't, done whatever it is they say they're doing. So make sure that people are legit. I'm going to trust that you guys can do that. And then go out there and learn from people, whether it's through books, podcasts, courses, whatever it might be, right? That's number three. Point number four, you need to be going to business events. And this is something that, and I made another video about this, but this is something that used to scare the crap out of me, is going out in public and meeting people and going to events where I don't know a soul. But I promise you, if you do this, it's going to help you expand your comfort zone. You're going to meet a lot of new people who are going to be able to help you out in your life and in your career. You're going to make a lot of new friends, and it's going to make you a better man. And I promise you, if you do this and you go to business events, let's just say once a month or once a quarter, if you want to just do it like that, you're going to get a lot of value out of that. You can go to Chamber of Commerce events, you can go to marketing events, sales events. They don't have to be paid. You don't have to spend money to do this. Go to Toastmasters, go to events where you can put yourself in public and meet people and have, professional business conversations, learn how to small talk, learn how to, meet friends and just meet people. Developing the skill of communication is something that is always, always, always going to be in demand. And I promise you, if you could do that as a young man, you are going to be so much farther along than all the other young people and even older people who don't know how to communicate. That is the reality, right? Go to business events, go to events where you can meet people who can develop your career and move you along and, connect dots with you in your life. If you're scared, do it anyway. That's the reality. I was scared shitless and I went to an event in Nashville one time and I was terrified. I didn't know anybody. I drove 3 hours to Nashville and I went to an event and it ended up being a great event. I, intentionally made myself get outside my comfort zone. I met a bunch of cool people. Nothing really came of it, but it was a great experience, right? Highly recommend you guys do that. And ever since then, I've been a lot more confident going to events, and I go to events all the time now, and it's something that I highly recommend you guys do. Even if you don't get anything out of it, it's a drop in the bucket in terms of, your self-development. It's going to make you a better human, a better communicator, and it's going to make you more effective in all areas of your life. So you guys need to go to events, right? Number five, and one of the final points that I wanted to discuss with you guys is you need to win the day. And what I mean by that is you need to write down a set amount of tasks that you need to get done every single day. In my case, I write down about 8 tasks that I need to do that are going to move me along in the right direction toward my goals every single day. And then once I get them done, I cross them off with a big red marker. And then once I get them all done and I cross off all those tasks, I write a big W on the top of my paper saying that I won the day. If I don't get them done and I get 7 out of 8 of those tasks done, I write a big L on the top, right? My goal is to win as many days as possible and creep forward every single day toward my goals. Small bites every single day to be able to, eat an elephant, as they say, right? So that's exactly what we need to do. Create a list, hit that list, and hit it every single day. And then I promise you, you're going to make progress year over year, month over month, day over day towards your goals, right? So win the day. Another point, delete social media on your phone. This is something that you do not need. If you have a laptop or something, you can keep it on your laptop and just access, Instagram or Facebook, whatever it might be, once a day from your computer, right? There's no need to have social media on your phone. Okay. It's as simple as that. No need to do that. Delete it. You don't need to delete your profile, but you can just delete the actual app because it's just going to distract you, right? And the last thing I want to discuss with you guys is ignore materialism, right? And when I say materialism, I mean, the big fancy watches, the big fancy cars, a super kick-ass house, like all those things are great. And I'm not, talking bad on people who have that or talking bad on people who want those. If that's what motivates you, then great. But simply working and doing all these things just to get those things, I think that's vanity. And I don't think that any of those things are going to make you happier in your life because, if you buy a mansion, it's super cool. But at the end of the day, it's just where you live, right? You're going to get used to it. You have a car, you're going to get used to it. It's just what you drive, right? None of these things are going to make you fulfilled in your life. You need a bigger purpose, right? So ignore materialism, especially when you're young, man. I mean, if you're under 30 years old, you don't need any of that kind of stuff. And nobody expects that from you. So don't, try to create this big, fake, flashy lifestyle when you don't really have any of that. You know what I mean? Save all that money, invest all that money, and put that to work so that you can be farther along towards your goals. And when you're, 40, 50 years old and you can responsibly pay for those things, then have at it, right? But there's no need to be trying to push and, chase those things when you're 20 something years old. It's just ridiculous. And I see people that I know online that I grew up with, or people that I'm friends with on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, posting like they have this extravagant lifestyle and they're my age, and it's all fake, man. It's all fake to get clicks and make them, to make their followers think that they're special and they've got it all figured out. It's a joke, man. So don't do any of those things, and you're going to be significantly farther along and much more fulfilled. So just to recap, work as hard as you possibly can, live as cheap as you possibly can, invest in your financial education every single day, learn how money works, learn how, to develop your skill set, keep moving forward when it comes to, your mental education, go to business events, meet people, network, win the day, write down tasks every single day that you have to get done that are going to move you in the right direction. Delete social media, delete all the distractions, and ultimately ignore materialism and just trying to chase things just to have them because that is vanity and it's something that's not going to fulfill you. So I promise you guys, if you do all these things in your 20s or even your 30s, however old you might be, this is applicable to you. But it's something that is absolutely going to help you guys out, something that I wish I would have taken more seriously, and something that, would have me be a lot farther along than I am right now. And I'm very blessed, don't get me wrong, but if I would have done all these things and took them more seriously when I was, 18, 19, 20, as opposed to, 23, 24, I would have been a lot farther along when it comes to this kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys out. Drop a comment if this is helpful. Drop a comment if you want me to make, more in-depth videos on any of these bullet points that I just went over. I'm happy to give you guys what you want and answer any questions and kind of go into more detail if it's going to be helpful. So anyway, guys, I love you guys. Hope this helps you guys out, and talk to you later.